All right, snowflakes, we are back, and now we're going to show you how to do a DMX profile in Lucid. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go into Scan Library, which is up there. It's going to pop up this blue box. Now, if you wanted to create a simple like puck style or just an RGB or RGBW, that's going to be your most simple. Today, what I'm going to show you in this one is going to be a small moving head, our new Switchblade Micro that we have coming out. And so I'm going to go through that because it's a little bit more in depth, but it shows you a little bit more of the details of how to put together what looks like really crazy icons and all this other stuff in here. So granted, remember, I can always create one for you as well. Just email me, joel@blizzardlighting.com. That's JOEL @blizzardlighting.com. Or you can always email support as well, which is support@blizzardlighting.com. And I can always create one for you too, but this hopefully will give you a little understanding of how to do one yourself, and then you can just do them as you go. Alright, so we're going to keep this icon right here. This lights up. You can actually click that, and you can choose what kind of fixture you're looking for. So if it's a conventional, if it's just an LED, if it's a roller, if it's a moving head. In this situation, yes, it's going to be a moving head. You can also change what the little icon looks like here. For right now, we'll just leave it standard. And you can also you could change all this type of stuff in here. You could put in the manufacturer, the fixture, and all that. It's really not necessary unless you're doing a full-blown pre-set-up show using the 3D visual and all of that. If you are doing that, then by all means you can get into all this other detail stuff. In this tutorial, we're just going to show you how to at least create a simple profile. All right, so hit OK. We're still keeping that. All right. So the first step is to get your channels in place, and then within those channels, you're going to set your attributes. So the first one here, okay, so let me bring over, I'm going to move this down here a little bit, move this over. I'm going to slide over my DMX traits. Okay, so my DMX traits here, you find these in any one of your manuals, whether it's a Blizzard Lighting manual or whether it's an American DJ manual, Chauvet manual. You should have your DMX traits on one of the pages of the manual. So as you scroll through, you should be able to get to that, and it's going to tell you channel 1 does this, channel 2 does that. So that's all I'm following. When we create a profile, that's all you're doing is just copying what they say that the fixture does at what channel. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, understanding all the icons over here is where it gets a little tricky. But once you learn them and you just run your mouse over them and take a second and let it show you what it is, it gets pretty simple. All right, that's focus, that's frost, that's speed. So first thing, let's look at this. Channel 1 is pan. Well, there's a pretty easy button here, pan tilt. It's actually set up to do both. So you grab that, slide it over, drop it in. It automatically knows. In most situations, your pan tilt are next to each other. If for some reason, which there are, I guess, more times too, sometimes it goes pan and then pan fine, and then tilt and tilt fine, which here it's just, pan and tilt and then fine pan, fine tilt. Sometimes the pan is in between the tilt. We're going to do that by right-clicking on pan, going down to fine, and clicking that. So now, a lot of cases where it does do that, it's automatically going to put that in. In this case, we're actually going to move that one after tilt. So you highlight at the end and move it and drop it in there. So now, again, we got pan, we got tilt, and then we got fine pan. Do the same thing for tilt. Right-click, go down to fine, and make sure you move that into the right space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we have channel 5, which is pan tilt speed. Well, go to your speed, okay, drop that in. Now here's where it gets tricky. It's going to give you an error, and you could double check with your check mark here, and it's going to tell you missing a preset with type, speed, speed fix, speed tracking, something. It's missing something in the bottom of the box. You could click correct, but I'm not going to show you. That's the cheater way. So I'm going to just get out of that. So here's your speed box. Drop down arrow. This is where you put all your attributes. If you notice, as soon as you click that arrow, it popped up over here, which it knows that with the speed, the attributes, there needs to be something in here. 99% of the time, you're going to use a linear speed or a linear dimmer, something like that, that allows you to control it there. So click and drag that over and drop it in. Now, you've got your speed, you've got your default setting, which wherever you want to set it, if you want to set it at 255, you want to set it at 0, that's going to be where the default is. And then this is your step proportional, which will allow you to control it while you're in the programming mode under the desktop, a part of your programming. So if you don't check this, if you uncheck that, it's not going to give you any slider in your gray area here. So if there was a slider like this is right here, you're not going to see that, or you're going to see, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So you want to make sure that you have that all set as linear, so that, and your step proportional, so that you can actually control it in this situation. All right, as you can tell, it's still red. Why is it giving me an error message? Well, check, it's missing a target channel. So again, you can correct it automatically, or I'm going to show you the proper way. You're going to right click on the bottom section here. You're going to go down to properties, and then it's going to ask you, okay, which channel would you like? X, Y, yes, of course. So channel 1, and hit OK. Now you have a green check mark and your speed is still good. All right, so now let's go back to our DMX traits. Channel 6, we have dimmer. So your dimmer, which is right here, you can run your mouse over it. You click and drag that over. Make sure that number 5 is yellow. It's going to drop it in right after that. Once again, we have our check mark because it needs the attributes in the bottom. But as soon as I click that blue arrow, it tells me 99% of the time you're going to choose dimmer linear. And in this situation, you still want to be able to control your dimmer, but I would preset it at 255. That way, as soon as you press that icon when you're in your programming mode, it automatically is full on, and then you can turn it down from there. I would say in most cases you're going to have it full on, and then you can control your different scenes if you want it lowered or not. Okay, so that one's all set. So now we have 6 channels. We got pan, tilt, micro tilt, speed, and dimmer, just as it shows here in the manual. Channel 7, we have strobe. So your strobe is right here. It's also noted as shutter. That's just what they call it in here. So click and hold, drag all the way to the end, drop it in, hit your blue arrow. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. And sometimes you will get a strobe setting where it will tell you that 0 to 10 is off, and then 11 to 255 is your strobe slow to fast. So there's actually an off one you could drop in here, and then there's a regular strobe one. Lucid makes it very, as I said a couple times before, visually enhanced. I should say visually enhancing. It wants to make it as easy as possible for you. So if you can have an icon that's right next to the other icon and it just says off, you can just click the icon and you automatically know that from 0 to 10 it's going to be off, and it's just one click of a button. You don't have to work with a slider at all. In this situation, I'm going to take that out because it doesn't have that attribute. It just has 0 to 255. And if that is the case, I would still start at 0, make sure my preset is at 0, and make sure my step proportional is on so that I can control that slow to fast speed. Okay. All right. Channel 8 is your red intensity. Now, because this is a color mixing, it is a color mixing fixture. And take red, green, blue, and it also has your white intensity. At least for the red, green, blue, there is a RGB preset that you can pop in. You could go to color and drop in your color and then choose your color, which would be under here. You know, you drop in that color that color channel, which is this one right here, then go to red and then drag this over. But there's absolutely no reason to do that. Plus, it's not going to give you the color wheel like where you see here. The reason this is here is because Lucid is using the color palette setting, which we do here in the scan library. So, okay, let me show you here. So color, if you drop in color and say then you drag over red, okay, that's going to give you a red color for that channel. Technically, yes, that is correct. But that means you have to manually adjust your red and then manually adjust your blue and manually adjust your green and all that type of stuff to get each color that you desire. If you take that channel out and grab this one right here and move this over, it's automatically going to drop in a red, green, and a blue channel. And it doesn't let you adjust it, doesn't let you add any attributes to it because that's all it is. But it turns into a color wheel so that you can literally go wherever you want, as I did with the RGB pucks in the earlier video. So that's what you want. If it is a color mixing fixture, you want the red and green and blue color wheel. Don't let this confuse you where it says color wheel rotation. That's for if you have like a moving head and you need to put those colors in there that way. But if it's a color mixing fixture, whether it's a par can or a small moving head like this is, then you want the RGB icon. Now, the last trickier part of this is the white intensity. Because the white is not built into this, you actually need to add a white, and this one says color mixing, as you can tell. If it was a CMY, you could do CMY, but in this case it's a white or amber. So we're actually going to drop that in separately, double click, type in white, because that's what it is. If it was amber, you could type in amber. That's all there is to that. It's going to give you a separate box to control the white. That is something, unfortunately, it cannot be built in to the RGB color wheel, so you'll have to control that white by itself. And as far as the built-in programs and sound active, as you see here, this one's a little more trickier. We're going to grab a free icon and drop that in. This, you can make anything you want, and as soon as you hit that drop down arrow, you see you have a lot of options to choose from, and it can be a little overwhelming. But let's just go first. So we're going to call this programs. All right. So we got programs. And now we start basing off of what we can do here. So doing a channel like this here, where you've got all these different attributes in between all in one channel, this is where you start to get really comfortable with making your own channels. Because once you figure it out, it's actually pretty simple. It just takes a little time. So we put our drop down box. Now you can do one of two things here. You could, if you'd like, do a color wheel, because what you're doing here is just creating the icon that you're going to press to do what you want it to do. Or you can go to the free button, which is right here, and do a macro or a color or whatever your little heart desires, I like to say. So we have a no function. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 color choices. So you can go up to 15 color choices if you'd like. And then a color snap, a color fade, and a sound active mode. So in this situation, what I'm going to do is just do color numbers, just to make it easy. And you can always refer back to your manual and choose, one based on the manual if that's what you like. Or if you feel a bit more inclined to actually make your rainbow of colors and know what you want to do, then you can go from there. Alright, so first one, no function, 0 to 10. There's a no function key. As I said before, like the strobe, you can have a key that specifically states, so if I don't want to do anything, I can just click that icon and be done with it. Now, in all these situations, because we will be controlling what number each attribute goes to, we are not going to select the step proportional. There's absolutely no reason to do that. The default, though, will keep, and you could choose any color to be default, but we'll keep the default on no function so that when you go to this channel, the first thing is it's going to be on as no function. You can change it from there. So we're going to go all the way down to 0. Now, before you can change, you say now it says 0 to 255. Before you can change that to 10, you need to add another color. So let's drag over color 1. So color 1 is now in there. You'll see a break bar here. Take that, drag it all the way to 10. And as you notice, this will kind of automatically fall into place. It really doesn't matter. It could be 0, it could be 10. It's still going to give you a no function option. The color 1 could be 11 all the way through 20. It doesn't matter because we're not adding the slider part in there. It's just going to go, it's going to go to that number, whether it's 5 or 6 or 7. And it won't matter because the DMX value is still going to be a no function at that point. So let's speed it up here a little bit. I want to show you. So color 2, color 3. Make sure you drop it in after the other number so that it stays in order. So 5, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now don't freak out because there's not enough space to insert into a new preset. All this means is that you have to now adjust your DMX value traits and the channels that they're in to be able to fit more into this one channel. So 0 through 10, 11, as you can tell, it starts at 11. We got to bring this one up to 20. So make it 20. Scroll down. Now we got 21 through 30. We have 31 through 40. And 41 through 50. All right. I'm going to speed this up here a little bit for you guys and fix all this, and then I'll bring you guys back into it. Okay, so we're back, and I now have all my color presets in there. So color 1 through color 15. Now I got to 15, and again I can't change that, even though it's supposed to be 151 through 160. I have to add another one in there. Now this is where it can get tricky. It really depends on what icon you want to use and what really makes the most sense. So in my case, I would say color snap, I would do macro 1 just to separate what is a color and what is actually going to change on its own. And then color fade, I would do like a macro 2. And once you create your profile, you'll know what that does when you go to use it. So 151 to 160. And 161 goes to 200. So now we start jumping. And again, I can't do anything because we still have one more space. We have a sound active mode. Nice and easy. Scroll down. There's a sound active button. Drag that over. Drop it in. Now you can make your last adjustment. So 201 to 240. And 241 to 255 is all that's left. Now, the difference being with these two, because there is a slow to fast attribute, you do want to make sure that your step proportional is checked and that you start at the lowest point of that attribute. Otherwise, it's going to automatically go to a certain speed and you're not going to be able to have any control over it. So when it's a strict color, you don't have to do anything. But if it is something that pertains to a slow to fast option, you do need to make sure your step proportional is checked. And I particularly always start at the lowest point of that attribute. Again, music, you don't need to do anything because as long as it's in between that channel, those channels, then it's going to do the same thing. All right. We have a green check mark, which means we did everything right. You should have a green check mark as well. And that's pretty much all there is. And you just put 19 presets in one channel. Now, last but not least, we have channel 13. It's a 13 channel fixture. And this is just a no function and or reset channel. So we grab our, there is no reset. At least up here, there's no reset actual channel. So we just create a free one, drop it in. Double click, just type in reset, and we go to our free, which is we're still here. Now if you scroll all the way down, well, there's one in the middle here, you could grab that one, or you can go all the way down the bottom and there's one down here too. Drag that over. Oh, now I did that too fast. See, there's a no function in there first, so actually let's do that one first. Drag that out. Go back up top. No function, drag that over. Now we can add our reset, drop that in, and then there's another no function in there. Yes, it is repetitive and it is going to look a little funny, but it just makes sure that you're creating your channels properly, and it does create more icons in that one little box. But then you can press any one of them and it's going to do the same thing because you already have it set within your channel settings of how you created the profile. Just makes it a little bit easier. I'm a big fan of this program, and I believe that it's just way easier to use once you get it down. It is probably the easiest software that I've ever seen in regards to lighting. Alright, so let's set our attribute channels. We have 0 to 149. So we're going to go to 149. Reset is 150 to 200. And the last no function is 201 to 255. So that's all you need to know. Alright, you have officially created your first fixture. It's a 13 channel mini moving head. So we go up here, we go to save as. You can save it under your folder. Type in Switchblade Micro. I'm actually going to put 2 because I had created one before, but go ahead and save that. Now if you've got more that you need to do, then go ahead and do that. Otherwise you can X out of this, and I'm going to move this back over, and here we are back to our Lucid software. Now if I want to patch what I just created, I'm going to go into patch. I'm going to go down to the folder that we saved it in, Blizzard Lighting, and go down to Switchblade Micro 2. Right, that's the one we just created. Now we did not do more. We didn't do more than one multiple profile. So it's just the 13 channel that we created. And I'm going to patch that. Remember I told you it will start at 31 because that was the next one available. So now it's 31 through 43 and hit OK. Here you are. Here are your attributes. This is what you just created. So you've got your pan and your tilts. You can move that all the way around if you like. Now it doesn't go in order because it makes it more visually stimulating for the user. The developer has created this to make sure that it's just easier to use in regards to where they lay out the boxes and stuff like that. So once you learn how to use it, again, very, very, very simple. So here's your color palette. Make sure that that would be turned all the way up. Make sure your dimmer would be all the way up. And you can change the color if you like. Or you can turn this down and just select which color you wanted based on what we programmed in there. So remember, 1 was red, 2 was green, blue, white. 5 was red and green, 6 was green and blue, and all that. If I wanted to turn on sound active, I could just hit that, and it's a one-touch button. If I want to do the color fade, and remember here, this is where I told you that you need to be able to control that. If we wouldn't have checked that step proportional box, we would not be able to do that. Same thing with the color snap. Now we can control that. Your strobe, there it is. Here's your white. Unfortunately, the white does get placed a little funny, but either turn that, you either want that part of your color mixing or you don't. You can just turn that pretty much on or off. And then the speed of your pan and tilt is just up to you. I usually don't have an issue with really ever needing to adjust that. I guess more user preference if you need a faster pan or tilt. And of course there's your one reset button. So this is what I was saying looks funny. You have a no function, a reset, and no function. Yes, both of these do the same. It really doesn't matter which one you'd want to check. You don't need to check anything unless you're really resetting it. A lot of times the reset on a fixture will happen after like 5 seconds or so, or 5 to 10 seconds. So you click that button, you let it sit there, and then it will eventually reset. If you accidentally click that, you can either unclick it or then click no function right away, and then that will stop it from actually resetting on itself. So there you have it. You have officially created a moving head profile, and pretty much those are all the same as you go along. Now if you actually are creating a larger moving head where there's gobos and where there's frost and or focus, electronic focus or prism or something like that, by all means you can go ahead and attempt it, but if you guys need to, I'm here for you, and just go ahead and email me the DMX traits that need to be used in that head, in that moving head, and I can create it for you. It probably would be much faster for me to do it for you, but regardless, I have no problem doing that as well. We're here to help you guys out and make sure that you can get up using your software as fast as possible. So thank you, and hopefully you guys learned a little something.